Prime Minister asserts we need to move away from darkness and uncertainties of coronavirus, urges all to light a candle, lamp or torch after turning off the lights at 9 p.m. on Sunday for 9 minutes, appeals to not cross boundaries of social distancing. Prime Minister interacts with 40 sportspersons and gives a 5-point mantra of Sankalp, Sanyam, Sakaratmakta, Samman and Sahyog to tackle COVID-19. Sportspersons pledge to spread the message of positivity and social distancing. Active coronavirus cases in India increased to 2,322 with 62 deaths reported and 162 recoveries. Health Minister expresses confidence that India will surely win this fight against coronavirus, expresses concern over incidents of attacks on health workers. Health Ministry urges people to use the Arogya Setu app, calls it an effective tool for tracking corona patients. 415 new mandis being added to e-Nam platform to effectively promote social distancing. President Ramnath Kovind interacts with governors, lieutenant governors and administrators of states and union territories, urges states and other agencies to arrange food for poor and needy without compromising on social distancing norms. Defence Minister chairs meeting of group of ministers to track developments on COVID-19, takes stock of measures to address the crisis, discusses various measures being implemented post-lockdown. And government begins disbursing money directly into accounts of Jan Dhan women beneficiaries, creates dispersal plan to avoid overcrowding. RBI reduces market trading time by 4 hours from 7 to 17th April. All regular banking services for customers will continue to be fully available. And now for the top stories in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has stressed on the need to move away from darkness and uncertainties brought upon by the corona pandemic in his address to the nation this morning. And to this end, the Prime Minister has requested citizens to switch off the lights on 5th of April at 9 p.m. for 9 minutes and just light a candle or a diya or also perhaps mobile's flashlight to come together in nation's fight against coronavirus.
5 अप्रैल को रविवार को रात 9 बजे घर की सभी लाइटें बंद करके घर के दरवाजे पर या बालकनी में खड़े रहकर 9 मिनट के लिए मोमबत्ती, दिया, टॉर्च या मोबाइल की फ्लैशलाइट जलाएं और उस समय यदि घर की सभी लाइटें बंद करेंगे, चारों तरफ जब हर व्यक्ति एक-एक दिया जलाएगा, तब प्रकाश की उस महाशक्ति का एहसास होगा जिसमें एक ही मकसद से हम सब लड़ रहे हैं, ये उजागर होगा.
And in his video message shared with the nation, the Prime Minister stressed upon community strength. He added that the entire country is fighting as one. He said that this crisis has also displayed our collective national unity, and this is what makes us even more stronger to fight and defeat this menace.
कुछ लोग ये भी सोच रहे होंगे कि इतनी बड़ी लड़ाई को वो अकेले कैसे लड़ पाएंगे. ये प्रश्न भी मन में आते होंगे कि कितने दिन ऐसे और काटने पड़ेंगे. साथियों, ये लॉकडाउन का समय जरूर है. हम अपने अपने घरों में जरूर हैं, लेकिन हम में से कोई अकेला नहीं है. 130 करोड़ देशवासियों की सामूहिक शक्ति हर व्यक्ति के साथ है, हर व्यक्ति का संबल है। समय समय पर देशवासियों की इस सामूहिक शक्ति की विराटता, इसकी भव्यता और इसकी दिव्यता की अनुभूति करना आवश्यक है।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has also appealed to citizens to avoid gathering anywhere during this conduct of the program on Sunday. He has added that people do not have to go out onto the streets and in the colonies, but people can do it from their respective doorsteps and balconies.
इस आयोजन के समय किसी को भी कहीं पर भी इकट्ठा नहीं होना है। रास्तों में, गलियों में या मोहल्लों में नहीं जाना है। अपने घर के दरवाजे, बालकनी से ही इसे करना है। सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग की लक्ष्मण रेखा को कभी भी लांघना नहीं है। सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग को किसी भी हालत में तोड़ना नहीं है। कोरोना की चेन तोड़ने का यही रामबाण इलाज है।
And when we talk about fighting COVID-19, information perhaps is the key. Right information at the right time. And when we talk about information, frequently asked questions is what we should have a focus on. In fact, we're very glad to have in our News 9 studios Dr. Anil Grutu. He's from Lady Hardinge Medical College, Department of Medicine. You've been very regular to our shows, also taking callers. Sir, thank you so much, Dr. Saab, for joining us. And also, let me quickly welcome Dr. Naval Vikram as well, Professor, Department of Medicines from AIIMS. Thank you both of you, gentlemen. In fact, now let's go. We've in fact here in DD compiled these typical frequently asked 10 to 15 questions. I'm going to have a quick fire round of answers on them. Quick to begin with, can we touch newspapers? Can we touch newspapers and how? Please go ahead.
Yes, you can not only touch newspapers, you can read them for as long in your usual manner every morning and whenever you want, because newspapers are not thought to be high on transmission mechanisms for this virus.
Okay.
They are safe. You spread them, you touch them, you open them as long as you wish.
And wash
They are
hands
safe.
thereafter just to remain safe? Wash hands after that?
They are absolutely safe.
Okay, newspapers are absolutely safe. And let's move on. The next question, does hot water really help? And if yes, what is the quantity we are looking at? Dr. Nawal.
Not really. Hot water doesn't help. Taking bath with hot water or washing your hands with hot water doesn't help. You can use simple water, cold normal water to wash your hands and even to take bath. Using soap is the most important thing.
Okay, okay. And the next question, frequently asked question is, how do we handle groceries safely? Because this is something which is part of our daily routine, including the hot water bit. But groceries, do's and don'ts there, very quickly. Dr. Guttu?
Groceries are to be handled in the usual way. Just one precaution which should anyway be taken every time. Wash your hands before you process them and wash your hands after. And in between, you wash the groceries, the fruits, vegetables in safe, ordinary flowing water. Simple water wash of that vegetable or fruit or grocery, and before and after hand washing. That's how we ought to be doing it every day, corona or no corona, and the same we should do today, corona or no corona.
Okay, and Dr. Naval Vikram, what about the online home deliveries of food and other items? Are they safe when the online delivery boys come, they hand over you the essentials? What is the best way to go about them?
Online deliveries are safe. The only thing one has to see that usually the deliveries come in a packet, and once if somebody is handling the packet, you take out the things which are there in the packet and you wash your hands after and discard the packet in a safe place and wash your hands after handling that.
And what about storage of vegetables and other food items in refrigerator? Any specific temperature that we are looking at?
So you can store the vegetables at the refrigerator in normal fashion, and care should be taken that you should know which kind of vegetable can last for how long in the refrigerator, and that you can store it in a normal manner.
Okay.
But the only important thing, you wash the vegetables and fruits before storing them.
And Dr. Guttu, does low temperature help virus to stay longer? Is this a myth or a fact? Low temperature is helping the virus to grow, Dr. Guttu?
Okay, so let's frame this question realistically.
Okay.
There are two perspectives to it. One, in terms of our daily lives, that is, as Dr. Naval said, washed and cleaned vegetables and fruits kept in our refrigerators are safe. That is, the low temperatures in the refrigerators do not really create more viral loads if they've been washed. Safe. Okay. The other perspective is when you look at the whole planet and you look at the equator, 0 degrees, up to 30 degrees latitude is the tropical climate regions, and beyond 30 degrees are the temperate regions. Now, if we look at the distribution of this disease epidemic, COVID epidemic, pandemic, then we see some noticeable, though still not confirmed, trends that as you go above 30 degrees latitude, that is towards colder temperate regions, this virus seems to be creating more spikes. And as you come closer to the equator, it is there, but as of now, a bit less spiked.
All right. And how long should we really stock these fresh vegetables in refrigerators? Very quickly, Dr. Naval.
You can stock these vegetables till the time they remain fresh in the vegetables, which might be a few days.
Okay, and how long does the virus stay on? Let's move on. Let's show another graphic plate. How long does this virus stay on different surfaces? This is, you know, like we talk about metal surface, cloth surface, plastic surface, wood surface, and paper surface. That's the next question, please. Yes, go ahead. Dr. Naval.
See, the virus can stay alive on metal surface for a longer duration, which can stay up to 2 to 3 days. And on surfaces, water resistant surfaces like metal, plastic, it can stay for a long time. And other surfaces like cardboard, paper, cloth, it can remain viable for a few hours.
Okay. And Dr. Guttu, the next question is, does this virus stay on copper utensils for a shorter period of time? Is that a myth that on copper the virus stays for a shorter period of time?
Yes, it does appear from the studies so far.
Okay.
The data that on copper surfaces or copper utensils, this virus stays average 4 hours, which is far less than what it stays on steel or aluminum, which is
so can we encourage use of copper utensils?
Yeah, it's
okay.
Yes,
okay.
It stays less, but any utensil, if cleaned and washed properly, it's safe.
Okay.
It's safe.
Okay. Dr. Naval, now talking about pets. Are pets really susceptible or vulnerable to this virus infection, and can pets spread the infection?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
There is no reports that pets can have this disease or transmit.
Okay. Absolutely no vulnerability.
Absolutely no reports
so
so
your
far.
pets are safe. That's the good news. The animals, the pets are safe. And does humidity have any effect on the virus, Dr. Guttu? Let's move on to the next question. Humidity.
See, when we talk of humidity, we also talk simultaneously of temperature, because humidity and temperature are correlated always. So I would say that the anecdotal trends, which have to be confirmed anecdotally, so far as we understand it as of today, with the rising humidities and rising temperatures together, they seem to slow down the efficiency with which this virus transmits and replicates.
Okay. And Dr. Naval, what about any special precautions that should be kept in mind for people like us who go out on daily basis, people who are associated with essential services who go out and come back home in the evening?
So people who have to be out for the essential services, I think they have to practice social distancing at the workplace and hand hygiene. So these are the two important things that they have to practice.
What about the clothes that some people think that, you know, they can come back and discard those clothes?
Yes,
is that
yes.
a myth? Discard those clothes? No.
I would not say discard the clothes. This would be more pertinent to the healthcare professionals who are taking care. So while you are there in the healthcare facility, there is definitely there is other equipment or gown or other protective equipment which is used. But once you're coming back, it is better that you change the clothes, put the clothes immediately for washing and take a bath. That would help to get rid of the
Right.
virus which is there on your body or on your clothes.
Okay. And Dr. Gurtu, finally, excessive dryness due to excessive use of sanitizers and soaps. What can be done to prevent that? Final question.
For most of us, sanitizers and soaps, even if overused slightly, do not usually cause any dryness. There are some people who are sensitive to them. They could use any of the standard moisturizers, and there's nothing to worry about it.
Okay, nothing to worry about it, but then I just want very, very brief answers from Dr. Naval and Dr. Gurtu just to sum up this part of the discussion. Beyond these frequently asked questions, your quick 5 pointers for the viewers of Doordarshan. Dr. Naval.
Don't panic.
That's
because
important.
panic is the most important thing that which is spreading like through the various social media platforms. One doesn't have to panic because this illness in majority of people who get affected
Okay,
is
so
of a
don't
mild.
panic. All right, next.
And maintain the social distancing and hand hygiene. So these are the 3 most important
Yes,
things
most important.
that you have to follow to
Ready,
break the transmission.
Ready, Rekna, don't panic, social distancing and hand hygiene. And Dr. Gurtu, anything you want to add to that?
I would add only one thing, that is, we are currently in the phase of lockdown, which will last a total of 21 days. Now, lockdown works. It works very efficiently. However, it works only if it is implemented 100%.
Okay.
Even if there's a 10% violation of the lockdown rules, it may fail. So we have to commit ourselves and to our social communities in which we live to make sure that this lockdown remains 100% implemented and effective for it to be effective. So 100% lockdown is required. Even 5 to 10% violations this way or that way may lead to its failure.
Well, on that note, thank you both of you, Dr. Anil Gurtu and Dr. Naval Vikram, for addressing those FAQs and also quickly those last pointers. I mean, I think that made a lot of sense. Don't panic, hand washing, social distancing, and 100%, in fact, more than 100% implementation of the lockdown is what will come up as a big solution and finally mark the end to this menace. Thank you so much, both of you. And let me quickly take a short break here on Newsnight. When we come back, we'll talk about Ayurveda. Immunity boosters, can that be also a big solution when we talk about COVID-19 big fight? On the other side, stay with us.
Protect yourself from COVID-19. Follow these do's and don'ts. Practice frequent hand washing. Wash hands with soap and water. Use alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Wash hands even if they are visibly clean. Cover your nose and mouth with tissue while sneezing and coughing. Throw used tissues into closed bins immediately after use. See a doctor if you feel unwell. While visiting doctor,
India.
Salam India. Namaste India.
What are the symptoms of COVID-19? The most common symptoms of COVID-19 onset are fever, fatigue, and dry cough. These symptoms are usually mild and begin gradually. Around 1 in 6 people who get COVID-19 become seriously ill and develop difficulty breathing. Most people, almost 80%, recover from the disease without needing any special treatment. Older people and those with underlying medical problems such as high blood pressure, heart problems, or diabetes are more likely to develop serious illness.
Immunity to fight COVID-19. Ayurveda's immunity boosting measures is what we're going to now focus on. So let's understand the whole concept of Ayurveda, which revolves around enhancing body's natural defense system. And that is something which is the focal point here of Ayurveda, which also at the same time focuses on preventive measures to boost immunity. And at the same time, Ayurveda, what does it mean? It means science of life which propagates gifts of the nature. Ayurveda's extensive knowledge is also based on preventive care. As we always say, prevention is better than care, and derived from concepts like Dinacharya, which means your daily regime or daily routine, and Rituacharya, which means seasonal regime. Now, Ayush Ministry guidelines specifically have special references to the respiratory health, and because we are talking about COVID-19 crisis, so this can come handy. Guidelines are supported by Ayurvedic literature. There's a solid literature to back and some scientific publications as well. Now, let's talk about it in a more detailed manner. Let's move on and talk about different measures to promote immunity when it comes to different aspects in your daily routine. You can start your day. In fact, we are having a very detailed graphics here. We can go on with the graphic plate while I explain very quickly. You can take or perhaps start your day with 10 grams of Chyawanprash every morning. You can also, in fact, double it up by drinking herbal tea or decoction of something which is made of tulsi or basil leaves. That's very important. And also dalchini, we understand it as cinnamon, or kali mirchi, which is basically black pepper, or dry ginger, and munakka, that is raisin. Once or twice a day, if you add to this quick recipe, I think that is also going to help you in terms of boosting your immunity. Let's move on and talk about the other aspect when it comes to immunity, building nasal application. Ayurvedic nasal application. What is nasal application? You have to basically apply coconut oil ghee in both the nostrils in the morning and evening. Let's move on. We're going to, in fact, when we come back after the break, we'll discuss with our specialist doctor in our studio how to use the steam inhalation and fresh pudina or mint leaves or ajwain. All this can be practiced once a day. It's not very difficult. You can do all this sitting at home. This could be also a regime followed by taking warm water and steam inhalation with fresh pudina, that is mint leaves or ajwain. They are caraway seeds, can be practiced once a day. Remember, what is this? This is basically the Ayurvedic way of boosting your immunity, which also includes your clove powder, which could be mixed with natural sugar or honey. You can use honey, and this can be taken 2 to 3 times a day. And remember, this part is important. It is best to consult a doctor if symptoms of dry cough and some sore throats persist. We take a short break here. When we come back, we're going to discuss about all this in little detail, how to actually integrate the Ayurvedic or the Ayush way of living in your daily life in terms of boosting your immunity to fight COVID-19 situation or crisis. After the break, stay with us.
Namaskar, this is Amitabh Bachchan. The novel coronavirus or COVID-19 disease can be stopped. Together, we can do it. All we need to do is to take some basic precautions. Whenever you cough or sneeze, always cover your mouth with a handkerchief or a tissue. Throw the used tissues into a closed dustbin immediately. Don't touch your eyes, nose, mouth unnecessarily. Wash your hands with soap more frequently and for at least 20 seconds. Avoid participating in large gatherings. If you have a cough, fever, or difficulty in breathing, avoid close contact with anyone. Visit the nearest health facility or your doctor immediately if you have any of these symptoms. Cover your mouth and nose using a mask or a cloth at this time. For more information, contact the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, whose helpline is 011-239-78046. Help us to help you.
Myth. The new coronavirus affects only older people and younger people are not susceptible. People of all ages can be infected by the new coronavirus. Older people and people with pre-existing medical conditions appear to be more
measures. We're going to talk about this in great detail with Dr. Manoj Nisari. He's advisor with the Ministry of Ayush. Thank you so much. Welcome to Newsnight. To begin with an overview of those who don't understand the naturopathy or the Ayurvedic way of living, under current circumstances, Dr. Saab, how do you explain? And very quickly, to start with the day, what should be done?
Yeah, first of all, we must understand that there is no any proven treatment for coronavirus.
Yes.
So it is the best thing that you have to maintain your immunity, you have to improve your immunity, and we have to focus everything on improving our immunity. And for this purpose, the various items which we have given in the advisory, so they are all the immune boosters. And for that, the amla, which is commonly eaten by everybody, it is available in the market. So amla is the best immunomodulator, it is the best immunobooster. So that can be taken every day in different forms. And the best form and readily available is the Chyawanprash, because base for the Chyawanprash is the amla.
Going back to basics.
Yeah. So
Yes.
we have to actually take Chyawanprash every day in the morning. It is around 10 to 20 gram depending upon the age. If you take it, it is always good. You can take cinnamon or the dry ginger and the other ingredients which have been shown in the formulation. It is holy basil, that is tulsi. So you can take a hot infusion or the tea prepared of it. So that is again the immunity booster, and it is not only immunity booster, it is also reported that all these plants, they also have the antiviral activity. Antiviral activity means they act on different kind of virus. That doesn't mean that it acts specifically on the coronavirus too, but they have a broad spectrum activity. They act on various kind of viruses and bacteria.
Okay. We also talked about before the break nasal application. If you could quickly describe that in detail, and what is oil pulling therapy? We have the graphics, maybe we can run those graphics. Yes, please explain.
Right. So nasal application is putting the oil or ghee in your nostrils on both the sides. So 2 drops of oil or the ghee you put on both the sides. You have to simply lie down and put your head totally tilted so that the nasal passage should be almost vertical to the ground, and then you apply this oil in the nose. The oil should be little warm so that it should be comfortable to you also. And the importance is that this gives you the protection against the various kind of infections, whether it is viruses, whether it is dust, whether it is other allergies.
And then oil pulling therapy, can you explain that as well? Oil pulling therapy, that's right, viewers on your screen.
Right, and the oil pulling is you have to take around 1 teaspoon of oil, and this oil is to be taken along with the water, and you have to move in your mouth. So this is the actually mechanism that is called as the oil pulling, and this also gives you protection against the various kind of allergies and infections.
Do not drink this oil, that's important.
Yeah, the oil is not to be drank. When actually you move in your mouth and you hold it for some time, then there will be a lot of salivation, and then you have to spit it. It is not to be swallowed.
Okay,
so
not
this
to be swallowed.
Yeah, not to be swallowed. This has to one has to keep in mind.
Yeah, so oil pulling, one should do it very carefully in case you want to go ahead. And steam inhalation?
Steam inhalation is an important factor, because steam inhalation, it is along with either you add the mint, that is pudina, or you can add ajwain, or if nothing is available, even simple steam can be useful. So you first boil the water, and then you lean on that, and then obviously when you lean that, the gas or other thing, it should not be on. You have to take the vessel off, then you lean on that and you cover your head on that, so that the steam actually goes in your nostrils and in your lungs, and it also helps in improving the health of your lungs, your respiratory system.
You know, this research paper also talks about specifics during sore throat and dry cough.
Yes, especially in the dry cough.
So normally what happens, Dr. Saab, these days, if you experience mild cough, sore throat, a bit of fever, suddenly, you know, there's a sense of panic. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but first of all, there need not be panic every time, but we have to be careful. That is the important thing, because though the coronavirus is there, it is like any other viral infection, and the viral infection, as the data today we have, so most of them they get cured, and the fatality is very low. So people, they need not be panic for that, but we have to be careful. And for this simple home remedy is clove. clove. So you take clove, roast it on little bit so that it swells up. When it swells up in between, that means the roasting is completed, and then you powder it along with either sugar, or you can take it along with the honey. And this you take it as a linctus, so that helps in reducing the cough. So this coughing is reduced with that, and the relief will be there. So this is very easily available home remedy, because nothing is available most of the time. This clove and this kind of resins and other things, they are usually available at home.
So let me put it this way. Little bit more on the guidelines of the ministry when it comes to promotion of respiratory health. In this discussion, let's mostly focus on the respiratory health and boosting immune system, which is directly related to your respiratory system.
Absolutely. I would like to mention over here that there are two kind of actually immune systems in the body. One is the general immune boosters. They improve the general immune or the defense mechanism of the body, and there are certain plants which actually promote the immunity of the respiratory system or the lungs or the overall respiratory tract. And these herbs which we have advised, so there is a lot of evidence on that, a lot of research is done on that, and they are to know the immunity of the respiratory system.
All right. And quick points, boosting immunity. Can this be part of my daily routine?
Yes.
Natural way of life.
Yeah, they can be the natural way of life, because when you wake up, first of all, you have to do this hot gargles. You can do the gargles with turmeric and salt, so that you can protect your throat. All the infections, they go from there. At the same time, when you wake up and when you clean your nose and mouth, everything, so you put little bit of oil. So again, that will give you the additional protection from the various kind of infections. So there is second thing, then the Chyawanprash I mentioned, it is going to help you to improve the immunity. There is a lot of research which is done on this Avla, and Avla, it improves the mitochondrial respiratory reserve. That means it improves the host defense mechanism. It is free radical scavenger, so it is antioxidant, so that way it promotes your overall immunity. So likewise, we can maintain our immunity. And then the herbal decoctions or the herbal infusion which I mentioned. The most important thing is we have to also do the exercise and the yoga and the pranayam.
Yes, let's now talk about yoga, the yogic way, the pranayams, and also beating stress the Ayurvedic way, anxiety, stress.
Yes, so the exercise is very much recommended by everybody, whether it is Ayurveda, whether it is the allopathy, whether it is yoga. So exercise is very important, and in that the yogasana, the yoga postures, they are very important. The Ministry of Ayush, we have launched this app also, and the various tweets are being given which kind of simple yogasana are to be done, and this is being given every day, and you can follow the ministry's website. In that you can easily understand how to do the various simple yogasanas. I would like to mention about the various pranayamas, whether it is the Anulom Vilom or whether it is Kapalbhati or Basrika. So various kind of pranayamas or the other respiratory exercises, they improve the strength of the muscles and the respiratory system, and that way actually it gives you the overall strength. We have to be prepared for any kind of battle, any kind of war. So it is actually our war against, or the fight against the coronavirus, and for that we have to build our body and the respiratory system to fight with this war. And this yoga and exercise, it will keep us preparedness. I would like to mention over here that there are many reports in the journals which have been recently published in various international journals, and they found that those who are having the comorbidity, whether it is hypertension or some kind of respiratory illnesses, even before the disease or even diabetes. So this comorbidity is very much responsible for giving towards the serious condition or the more fatality. And if we control this comorbidity, it is quite possible that we can protect ourselves. So it is very much scientific, it is very much evidence based. So these yoga exercise we can do, the various kind of rasayanas, that is the immunoboosters what have been advocated, so that actually we can do, and that's why we can protect ourselves from various kind of infections.
All right, I think that was fantastically put by you and simplified, and I think we don't have to go out. I think most of it is just there in our kitchens, or perhaps we can be just getting all these as a part of our essential commodities. Thank you very much, Dr. Manoj Nisari, for joining us on this show. Ayurveda could be the way in terms of boosting your immunity. Thank you so much, sir, for joining. And now let's move on and shift our focus quickly to other news and updates of the day. Following the assurance given on Thursday, that is yesterday, by Prime Minister Narendra Modi during his video conference meeting or the outreach with the Chief Ministers, Union Home Minister Amit Shah has also approved the release of rupees 11,092 crore rupees under the State Disaster Risk Management Fund to all the states. Now let's take a look at this in detail. The central government in fact has made an advance release of this first installment of State Disaster Risk Management Fund for the year 2021, amounting to rupees 11,092 crores to augment funds available with the state governments. Now, the central government has already made a special dispensation for utilization of State Disaster Response Fund to tackle COVID-19, and this includes providing food, providing shelter to homeless and migrant laborers who are stranded. Remember, who are stranded due to lockdown measures. Today, Prime Minister Narendra Modi reached out to sports fraternity of the nation, further consolidating the national fight against COVID-19. Through video conferencing with at least 40 sportspersons, Prime Minister Modi gave 5-point mantra of Sankalp, Sanyam, Sakaratmakta, Samman and Sahyog to tackle the resolve to fight the pandemic, the patience to follow social distancing, maintaining positivity and the significance of it, and also respecting those, the frontline soldiers in this battle, including medical fraternity, police officers and others. Here's a report.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been interacting with key stakeholders and influencers since the coronavirus outbreak started to bolster the country's efforts to battle the disease. From print and electronic media to industry to Ayush practitioners, Friday saw the PM extending his engagement to 40 eminent sportspersons, saying that COVID-19 is an adversary of the entire humanity. The gravity of the situation can be ascertained from the fact that for the first time since World War II, Olympics have been postponed. Several other prominent international sporting events like Wimbledon and domestic sporting events like Indian Premier League of Cricket have been shifted as well. The PM praised the sportspersons for bringing glory to the nation through stellar performances on the field. He said they now have a very important role to play in boosting the morale of the nation as well as spreading the message of social distancing, along with asking people to continuously follow advisories given during lockdown. He asked the sportspersons to include 5 points in their message to people. Sankalp, to fight the pandemic. Sanyam, to follow social distancing. Sakaratmakta, to maintain positivity. Samman, to respect frontline soldiers in this battle, including the medical fraternity, police and others. And Sahyog, at personal and national level through PM Cares Fund contributions. The PM also asked the sportspersons to highlight the importance of both physical and mental fitness and to popularize Ayush Ministry guidelines. The sportspersons praised the PM's leadership in tough times and thanked him for supporting frontline healthcare workers and police personnel. Part of the exchange, cricket icon Sachin Tendulkar said, "The PM highlighted and reaffirmed my belief that we should not let our guard down after the 14th of April, and how we manage that period will be very critical. This is the time for our entire nation to come together and keep each other motivated. Like team spirit wins us games in sports, our nation should work as one team to overcome this." Clearly, defeating a killer pandemic requires every section of society to pitch in. The PM is rallying around all forces at his disposal and beyond so that India emerges victorious in this battle. Newsnight Desk, DD India.
And Union Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan today visited Delhi's Ram Manohar Lohia Hospital and also supervised hospital's arrangements to combat coronavirus. During his visit, the minister showed his gratitude towards the efforts made by doctors, nurses and health workers.
आप सबके ऊपर सारे देश को गर्व है और सारे देश की निगाहें आपके काम पर लगी हैं। डॉक्टरों ने, हमारे क्लिनिशियंस ने, हमारे नर्सेज ने, हमारे एपिडेमियोलॉजिस्ट ने, हमारे पब्लिक हेल्थ के एक्सपर्ट्स ने, हमारा जो हेल्थ मिनिस्ट्री में टेक्निकल एडवाइजरी ग्रुप है, ICMR ने, सबने मिलकर जिस प्रकार से पहले ही दिन से सलाह दी और सलाह देने के बाद जिस प्रकार से सब लोग मिलकर एक टीम के रूप में निरंतर काम कर रहे हैं, उसी का शायद ये परिणाम है कि जिस कोविड-19 की आंधी तूफान ने सारी दुनिया के अंदर एक प्रकार से तबाही मचा दी, उसको हम भारत के अंदर कंट्रोल करने की स्थिति में हैं।
And now here's a quick look at what's happening on tackling COVID-19 across the country.
President Ramnath Kovind, along with Vice President Venkaiah Naidu, interacted with governors, lieutenant governors and administrators of all states and union territories via video conferencing. The interaction was on measures to combat COVID-19. President has urged states and other agencies to ensure food for the poor and hungry without compromising on social distancing norms. As the country battles a sudden surge in coronavirus cases, the government on Friday carried out a detailed review of the overall healthcare system as well as the situation arising out of the 21-day nationwide lockdown. Officials said the review was conducted by a group of ministers headed by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and comprising several key members of the Union Cabinet. The ministers deliberated on various arrangements being made to deal with increasing number of coronavirus cases as well as to ensure adequate supplies of medicines and essential commodities during the lockdown. Under the directions of Union Home Minister Amit Shah, the Union Home Ministry has blacklisted 960 foreigners present in India on tourist visas for their involvement in Tablighi Jamaat activities. The MHA has also directed DGPs of all concerned states, UTs, and the Commissioner of Police, Delhi Police, to take necessary legal action against all such violators on priority under relevant sections of the Foreigners Act 1946 and Disaster Management Act 2005. A three-member team of the World Health Organization visited the Tong district in Rajasthan to review the coronavirus situation. The first stop was Sadat Hospital, where the team reviewed the arrangements and discussed necessary guidelines. They then met District Collector K.K. Sharma and police officials and held a meeting to contain the spread of the virus. The team lauded Tong's efforts to contain the spread of the virus as well as strictly follow the rules of the nationwide lockdown. 16 positive cases that have been reported in the district till now include one person from Doda Rai Singh and 3 children. Continuing its dedicated efforts to contain COVID-19, Jammu Kashmir Police has formed a Corona Army under community policing initiated to create awareness among people in Nagrota subdivision of J&K Union Territory. They were entrusted the job to create awareness among the people about the do's and don'ts to prevent the spread of coronavirus. The supply of essential commodities in Jammu and Kashmir is normal now, with trucks plying on the national highway connecting Jammu and Kashmir with the rest of the country.
That the supply of essential commodities is normal and satisfactory. Last time when we met, there were issues regarding the national highway, which was closed at that point of time. The National Highway 44 is functional again. It has been reopened and nearly 800 trucks and tankers have crossed the Jawahar Tunnel on way to the Valley of Kashmir.
In Assam, the massive quarantine camp at the Saru Sajai Stadium in Guwahati has been finally operationalized. The camp has a bed capacity of 700.
We have brought in the people who were exposed to the positive patients identified in Nalbari district and in Morigaon district. Till early morning today, we had brought in 76 numbers of people there.
The saying goes that necessity is the mother of all inventions. The threat of COVID-19 has led the boilers auxiliaries plant of Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited in Ranipet, Tamil Nadu to innovate a customized disinfectant. The equipment has been deployed in Melvisharam municipality in Ranipet district to sanitize different areas where people with a travel history have been quarantined. Named Bhel Mister, it was designed and manufactured in a short span of 4 days. The sprayer's blower generates enough speed to disperse atomized particles of disinfectant as far as 10 meters away. With the capacity to pump out 2,000 liters of disinfectant in an hour and 45 minutes, the Pelmister is mounted on a mini goods vehicle which can even be driven into narrow lanes. A unique disinfectant spraying tunnel has been set up to prevent the spread of coronavirus infection at the Medical College Hospital in Thanjavur in Tamil Nadu. Located at the gateway to the medical college, the tunnel spraying system has been set up to allow visitors inside only after undergoing a spray of the disinfectant. The first health worker in Kerala who had acquired the infection during her duty has recovered completely and got discharged from the hospital on Friday. Reshma Mohandas, a staff nurse who was undergoing treatment at Kottayam Medical College, returned home with full confidence. In her phone conversation with State Health Minister, Reshma says she is ready to work in the Corona Isolation Ward after 14 days of home monitoring.
And due to unprecedented situation created by COVID-19 outbreak, it has also necessitated lockdown, social distancing, restrictions on the movement of people and non-essential activities, work from home arrangements as well as continuity plans, business continuity plans. The thinning out of activity is also impacting market liquidity and increasing volatility of financial prices. And in order to minimize these risks and to ensure market participants maintain adequate checks and supervisory controls while optimizing thin resources and ensuring safety of personnel, RBI has decided to revise trading hours for various markets. And the Ministry of Rural Development is also releasing the lump sum amount of rupees 500 per woman to Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana account holders for April 2020. The first payment has been credited on 2nd April 2020. In order to maintain social distancing and orderly withdrawal of money by beneficiaries, the Department of Financial Services has directed the banks to stagger the arrival of account holders at branches and ATMs for the withdrawal of money. And all the leading civil service associations, including IAS, IFS, IPS, Indian Forest Services and Indian Information Services, among others, have come together to establish the Civil Services Association REACH to support in natural disasters. Corona, a technology platform to connect civil servants who are working at home during the lockdown period to support central and state government initiatives to combat COVID. Let's understand what Karuna is. CARUNA or platform or karunaindia.org. This brings together technologies, information, databases, experiences, ground assessments from members of the civil services as well as professionals and civil society. Armed forces working hand in hand with civilian authorities in fight against COVID-19. NCC has also come forward to help the nation in this time of need. Here is a report.
आम लोगों से अपील की जाती है कि वो 21 दिनों के लिए अपने घरों में बैठे रहे.
Among the unsung heroes on the front lines of the battle against COVID-19 are the men and women in uniform. Defence forces have been working round the clock to provide medical and logistics support to the needy to contain COVID-19 pandemic. Armed Forces Medical Services has deployed its resources to aid the civilian authorities at this crucial time. Armed Forces are running 6 quarantine facilities at Mumbai, Jaisalmer, Jodhpur, Hindon, Manesar and Chennai. 1,737 persons have been handled at these centres, of which 403 have been released so far. In addition to this, 15 other facilities are being kept ready as standby for use if required.
जम्मू एंड कश्मीर की आवाम के साथ बढ़ चढ़कर कोरोना वायरस की लड़ाई में हिस्सा लिया है. श्रीनगर म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन को तकरीबन 150 बैक माउंटेड स्प्रेइंग मशीन और 2000 लीटर स्प्रेइंग कंपाउंड दिया है, जो कि हमने इंडियन एयरफोर्स के हवाई जहाज की मदद से मंगवाया है.
Dedicated COVID-19 facilities including high dependency units, intensive care unit beds are being prepared in 51 hospitals of the armed forces across the country. 5 viral testing labs at armed forces hospitals which can carry out COVID-19 tests have been made part of the national grid. 6 more hospitals are being equipped shortly with the resources to begin COVID-19 testing. Special flights of Indian Air Force have evacuated people and carried medical supplies. A C-17 Globemaster 3 carried 15 tons of medical supplies to China and airlifted 125 persons from friendly countries on its return. It made another journey, this time to Iran, and brought back 58 stranded Indians. The aircraft has also brought 529 samples for COVID-19 investigation. A C-130J Super Hercules aircraft has ferried around 6.2 tons of medicines to Maldives.
Indian Armed Forces have been in sync with the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare as also Ministry of External Affairs in tackling the coronavirus outbreak through the country. A series of military hospitals spread through the country. These hospitals have already been earmarked and they would be ready to ramp up the capability of Ministry of Health in tackling the coronavirus outbreak throughout the countries.
So far, approximately 60 tons of stores have been airlifted by transport fleet of Indian Air Force to various parts of the country. 6 naval ships are in readiness to assist neighbouring countries. 5 medical teams are also on standby for deployment in Maldives, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan and Afghanistan. Meanwhile, National Cadet Corps or NCC has also come forward to help people during the period of crisis when nation is battling with the novel coronavirus. Around 47,000 cadets of NCC have expressed their desire to work as volunteer whenever and wherever needed.
इस संकट की घड़ी में एनसीसी के वॉलंटियर्स आपके साथ हैं। 1 अप्रैल से हमने एक्सरसाइज एनसीसी योगदान डिक्लेयर कर दी है। वॉलंटियर कैडेट्स 18 साल की उम्र से ज़्यादा वाले बॉयज एंड गर्ल कैडेट्स हैं।
The need of the hour is to help these frontline warriors by staying home and following advisories issued by the authorities. With Sudhir Yadav, Bureau Report for DD India.
And a quick look at what's happening across the world on coronavirus. First up, Spain. Spain's coronavirus death toll has crossed 10,000 mark. A total of 932 people have died from this disease in 24 hours. Well, it's down from 950 people in the previous daily toll. The health ministry says that the number of registered cases has risen to 1,17,710 as on Friday, which is up from 1,10,238. That's the count on Thursday. US President Donald Trump says that he has undergone a second coronavirus test using a rapid diagnostic that produced a result in less than 15 minutes, and it determined that he has not been infected. Trump has announced his test results during a White House briefing. Trump has announced plans for the US military and federal personnel to operate a makeshift hospital set up in Javits Convention Center in New York to help the city grapple with the flood of patients in his daily White House briefing. New York has become the epicenter of the US epidemic with more than 47,000 confirmed cases in the city. And also, NATO members agreed on Thursday to speed up deliveries of medical aid to allies suffering from the most from coronavirus by assessing its airlift capability or capacity and by also matching its members' capacity and need for such equipment. Speaking after a video conference with Military Alliances Foreign Minister, Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg says NATO had already provided logistical supports to his members over the past few days through its support and procurement agency, its Strategic Airlift International Solution and Strategic Airlift Capability mechanisms. The comments came as NATO is scaling down military exercises in Europe to curb the spread of coronavirus. Shifting focus to Israel, where the police put up a metal barricade and roadblocks to enforce a lockdown of an ultra-Orthodox Jewish town with a disproportionately large outbreak of coronavirus. Emergency regulations approved by the cabinet late on Thursday declared Bnei Brak, which is near Tel Aviv, a restricted zone due to its high rate of infections. The new designation allows authorities to tighten curbs on public movement. Medical experts estimate that as many as 38% of the Bnei Brak 2 lakh residents are infected with coronaviruses, and that the town could soon account for as many as 30% of the cases in Israel's 8.7 million population. From Israel, moving on to Singapore, where Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong says that Singapore will close schools and most workplaces except for essential services like supermarkets, banks for a month as part of the stricter measure to stop the spread of virus. Prime Minister says that the Ministry of Education will work with schools to implement full home-based learning starting next Wednesday, that is April 8th. All preschool and student care centers will also be closed, but they will provide limited services for children of parents who have to continue working and are unable to make alternative care arrangements for their wards. And we leave you with these images from celebrities on fighting pandemic of coronavirus. Namaskar.
दोस्तों, आज हम सब एक बहुत ही मुश्किल दौर से गुजर रहे हैं। कोरोना वायरस एक ऐसी सच्चाई है जो ज़ोरों से फैल रही है और अब हम इस बीमारी से, इस सच्चाई से, इन हालातों से हम मुंह नहीं मोड़ सकते हैं। हमें इसका सामना करना है और सामना करने के लिए कुछ कदम हैं जो हम उठा सकते हैं, जो इस महामारी को रोक सकती हैं। सबसे पहला कदम है अपने हाथों को अपने आप को साफ रखना, साबुन से अपने हाथों को धोएं हर 1 घंटे पे। ये बहुत ही एक आसान रास्ता है इस महामारी को रोकने का, प्लीज़ कीजिए। दूसरा कदम है सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग का। एक दूसरे से कम 6 फीट की दूरी पर रहें। आइए थोड़ा जिम्मेदार बनते हैं, इस वायरस से लड़ते हैं। हम सब एक साथ हैं इसमें, एक दूसरे का ख्याल रखते हैं। ऑल द बेस्ट, माय लव टू यू ऑल, बाय बाय।
These are very testing times in our lives, but we will fight it. Listen to what every state government says, listen to what every health department says, listen to the directives of the central government. As they say, it's important to stay at home. Isolation is very, very important. Be safe and be healthy, and most importantly, be sensible.
All those who are watching this video to observe a few things. Please maintain personal hygiene. Please avoid gathering in places, because that is where the virus can spread and you might also catch it unknown to you. Please avoid unnecessary travel.
It must have been very tough for Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji to take this extreme decision of lockdown. Let's follow our leaders, let's follow rules, stay home, stay safe, and of course, stay healthy.